My Best Friends Live in the Woods. The Adventures of Albert by Anne Michelle Moracek. Chapter 20. Purple Carrots.
"Look, Jimmy, that one looks like a funny face with big lips," Albert pointed up. The two friends were laying on their backs, gazing up as the clouds rolled by, lazy puffs of fluff. "Where? I don't see a face." Jimmy frowned. "Look, that one's a huge acorn," Albert laughed. "Now you think I'd see that one?" Jimmy laughed. "They just look like clouds to me." Jimmy yawned. "How do you come up with this nonsense?" Jimmy scoffed. "It's fun! Play pretend!" Albert chided his friend. "Why?" Jimmy rolled over and closed his eyes. "I'm taking a nap." Jimmy sighed. "Seriously?" Albert laughed. "You just woke up." "So?" Jimmy rolled into a ball. "Fine, I'm going for a walk." Albert stood up. "Okay, but I'm going home." Jimmy scrambled up the oak tree. As the days got colder, all Jimmy wanted to do was sleep. He was turning into a real bore. As Albert trotted along, he decided to go on home too. Maybe Mother could use some help, he thought. It was autumn, and the harvest was in full swing. Most days were spent with baskets in hand, gathering up the bounty that the forest showered down upon them. All the creatures knew that winter was coming with its long, cruel cold. Every nest and den were being stuffed to bulging with every acorn and seed and rosehip to be found. Mushrooms had been dried for months, and flowers picked and dried. The jars of colorful petals and herbs lined the pantry shelves. It seemed that no matter how much they stored away, Mother Skunk was never satisfied. "Nothing bites like hunger," she would say as she wrung her hands and lifted the latest jars onto the shelves. "You all must learn to be wise and how to gather and store," she would admonish her children. "The day will come when I will not be here to take care of you." They would scoff and deny it. But in their deepest hearts, they knew it was true, and they all listened intently as she instructed. "I must teach you all," she would say with a serious smile. "Then my job will be well done. I want to hear 'well done' from my Creator when we meet," she would say with a faraway gaze. "Papa Skunk needs to be proud of me when we meet again." A glint of a tear wet her eyes. And then she would clap and said with gusto, "So off we go!" And they would all pick up their baskets and head out the cave door. The sun shone bright, and Albert blinked. They were headed farther and farther from the cave with each passing day. They had exhausted the available nuts and berries close to home. "Let's swing by the rabbit's place. They have a large grove of walnut trees. Perhaps they have their fill and have some to share," Mother Skunk mused as the little band of basket carriers trotted along. "Pick up anything you see along the way," Mother encouraged. As they rounded the bend, they could see Mrs. Rabbit straining and pulling on something with great effort. "Need some help?" Albert called out to her. "Oh, wonderful! Albert, you're just the one I needed. I grew these for you, but they don't want to leave their dirt homes." Mrs. Rabbit waved him over. "What is it?" Albert asked. He was gazing upon a large patch of frilly green ruffled leaves shooting up from a large round lump sticking out about an inch or so out of the ground. "Why don't you just cut off the leaves and eat them?" Albert asked, confused at all the tugging and pulling. By then the others had caught up. They all stood around the patch of lovely green ruffled stems. Only Mother Skunk smiled with knowing delight. "Oh, wonderful! Your carrots are ready. We're just in time to help." "Carrots?" Molly asked. "I don't see anything orange." Yeah, Timothy bent over the round bulge. They look black. Maybe now, but not once they're washed. Mrs. Rabbit beamed excitedly. The two mothers exchanged smiles. They have a secret, Bluebell giggled. Indeed we do, they laughed back. Everyone start pulling, Mother Skunk laughed. Gabby and George bounced out of the walnut tree. What are you guys doing? They hopped about in excitement. Pulling carrots, they all yelled out with giggles. Can we help? They bounced. Sure, Mother Skunk waved them over. It was a merry scene. Bunnies and skunks tumbling over backwards as their effort in tugging suddenly let loose with dirt flying and a nice chubby carrot at hand to plop into baskets. At times, all you could see were the upturned tails of white bunny fluff and the plumes of black and white striped fur. Then suddenly, pow! And they would tumble over backwards with a huge squeal and a laugh. At last, the patch of ruffled greens had been pulled, and the baskets were filled with the oddest-looking dirty black carrots you ever saw. Okay, everyone, Mother Skunk called out, quite pleased. Let's get these carrots in Mrs. Rabbit's den. And she motioned everyone to line up and pass their bounty through the front door. Albert, you're last. Mother Skunk pointed him to the end of the line, and the two mothers exchanged a smile and a giggle. Okay. A puzzled Albert trotted to the end of the line. When his turn came, Mrs. Rabbit happily announced, Albert, you keep your basket full. It's a special thank you. The surprised look on his face was priceless, and everybody giggled. He couldn't imagine why she thought he would want these strange blackish carrots. Thank you for what? He asked, confused. Why, for fetching home the water bucket with Tommy Red Fox. I finally got the twins calmed down enough to hear the story. She laughed. Why, thank you, he managed. Albert carried home his odd gift. Now for the magic! Mother Skunk clapped her hands. And another surprise! She ducked into her back room and proudly produced a newly sewn small white vest. It's for you, Mother beamed. I made it myself. It's wonderful, but white? Albert was still not sure what to think of all this. Not for long. Mother's eyes sparkled with her secret. She pulled out a pot of water and set it on the hearth. Now let's get this boiling, she clapped. Then she plopped the newly sewn vest right into the water. What? Albert was stunned. Had she been up too late? Was she kidding? And then, to add to the confusion, she took several of the carrots from the basket, rinsed off the remaining clinging dirt, and plopped them into the boiling water with the new vest. As he watched in dismay, the water suddenly began to turn the brightest plum purple color he had ever seen. It was truly magic. Purple carrots! All the children shouted with glee. But none were as happy as Albert as he watched his vest turn the prettiest, most wonderful purple in all the world. Here, dear, add the salt. It will set the dye and make the carrots taste delightful, too. Mother beamed as Albert poured in the salt and stirred with the stick Mother used as a cooking tool. He beamed with delight. Then he asked, Mother, why am I getting such a lovely gift? Because you have been kind and helpful and more than a little brave, she smiled back. And because it's an anniversary of your coming to live with us, she added with a wink. And so, as he stirred and watched the vest get an ever-deepening shade of the purest purple, He reflected in his mind on all the events that had passed since Mother Skunk offered him his first gingerbread cookies. And he smiled.
Chapter 20, Purple Carrots. Discussion and questions. Preparation and gifts. Jimmy is very literal, while Albert has an active imagination. Question 1. How does pretending add joy to your life? The forest is preparing for winter. Everyone knows that a time of hardship is coming. Question 2. How do you and your family prepare for the future? Question 3. Is it important to set resources aside in case of a time of need in the future? Mother Skunk is preparing for the winter by storing food. She is also preparing for the distant future by teaching her children the skills they will need to be self-sufficient after she is gone. Question 4. What skills should you be learning to better prepare for your own future? Mother Skunk and Mrs. Rabbit have been planning for months to create their special gift for Albert. The carrot seeds were planted, and the garden was tended to all summer as they grew. Mother had to sew the vest. They wanted to reward Albert and celebrate his unique membership in the family. Question 5. Is there someone who deserves your recognition? Question 6. How can you plan a gift or surprise to show your appreciation?
I am the composer and performer for all the music in this video. Both audio recordings and the printed scores are available on mybestfriendsliveinthe.woods.com. I will provide the link below. The painted illustrations are also my creation. Prints are available on mybestfriendsliveinthe.woods.com. This is a novel. The chapters are meant to be heard in the order in which they were written. And while each chapter can stand alone, they do build as new characters are introduced and past events are referred to. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. The chapters are numbered, so if you're just joining us, be sure to go back and watch from Chapter 1.
In a trance, my spirit flies to the pink horizon of the forest, where fairies say